This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust that today this will be like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom? Leave a rating and a brief written review. It will help other excellent people like you to be able to locate this podcast. I want to talk to you about goal setting today, but in a very specific way, and that is, have you ever tried to set a 100-day goal? Brian P. Moran has written a book called The 12-Week Year, which is basically the same kind of a principle that if you set goals for a year can seem like a long time out there, and so we can slack off. We can say, well, I'm having a bad week, a bad month, a bad quarter, but I still have plenty of time. It sort of gives in to the inner procrastinator. But a 100-day goal is sort of like another podcast I did some time ago about sprint goals. And that is, you can start, and you don't have to just make it begin at 1 month and end at a future month. You can start any day, just count forward for 100 days. And really focus on doing that goal, or if you want to do 2 or 3, it'd probably be okay. But one of the reasons that the 100-day goal is important, because it seems like that's something significant. I know that when people begin new jobs, including the President of the United States, they always have these 100-day plans. I've heard of leaders of corporations having that, pastors of churches. Here's what I'm going to focus and concentrate on the first 100 days. It's long enough to get some things accomplished, but it's not so long, like a year, that one would lose their focus. And what we notice whenever it comes to goal setting, one of the things you have to constantly be vigilant about and be very diligent is not to drop the ball and not to lose your focus. One of the other things that happens with a 100-day goal challenge is it may help us to go deep instead of wide. Many people who advocate for this, there are a considerable number who say just focus on one goal for those 100 days. Really focus on one that will change your situation, change your life, change your heart, change your direction. For there is this wonderful principle that if you make healthy, wonderful changes in any area of your life, there is a spillover effect in which that will spill over into every area of your life. In other words, if you become disciplined in one particular area of your life, it seemingly and in reality becomes easier to be disciplined in other goals. And the other thing is, if you have too many goals that you're shooting for all at the same time, you may indeed be able to get them accomplished. But what happens is they're pretty wide, they cover the whole field, but they don't go very deep. But whereas you focus on one, maybe a couple of goals for a 100-day period, it really gives you a great ability and mechanism in which to go deep instead of just going wide and very thin and very surface. It allows you to really dive deep into a goal and accomplish that goal. So how would you go about it? Well, first of all, I think you have to sit down and decide what are the goals. You know, they usually fall in a few categories of our life: spiritual, physical, financial, work or professional, health is one, intellectual. You decide which one you think as you begin to look at all of the things that you would like to see happen in your life in all of those areas. The temptation is to work on an area where you're already really doing well and you're really, really strong. And maybe one of these 100-day goals, you ought to work on an area where you really need help. If it's in the area of spiritual, you've never really read the Bible, you've never really been a person of prayer, that will make a wonderful difference in your life. It may be work-related. It could be financial. It could be health. It could be any of these. But as with any goal-setting activity, I am a firm believer in the acrostic SMART. You can't just make it broad-based without these things. And the S in SMART, as you know, stands for specific. It can't be something as nebulous as I want to get better, I want to lose weight, I want to get out of debt, I want to get stronger, I want to be more intellectually active. All of those are noble aspirations, but at this point, that's all that they are. You can't have a goal if it's not specific. What is it that you specifically want to see happen in your life, your family's life, your business, your world? Which basically leads us into the second letter in the acrostic in SMART goals, and that is the M, which stands for measurable. It's not really a goal if you can't measure it. It's not, I want to get healthy. What do you really hope to accomplish? Is it getting more fit? Is it reducing your body mass? Is it getting your weight to a certain place? Is it to get your resting heart rate? You have to determine what it is you're going to measure, and then you set out to do. I believe I've told you in the past that one of the things I did when I went into my weight loss and getting healthier was I tried any number of fad diets and any other kinds of things that anyone who would come along and give me some sort of an idea. But what really changed was the day that I began to look at people who were where I wanted to be health-wise. And I just merely asked them, what did you do? What are you doing? What are you doing, in essence, I'm asking, that I'm not doing? And then I began to break those habits, those activities down. I came up with my own, and for a specific period of time, I measured the inputs. I made sure that I was doing what they are doing. And once it becomes a habit, many of those are a part of my life today that I don't even have to sit down and write out. They've become a part of the fiber of who I am. But you have to measure them. The third is attainable. If you need to lose 100 pounds, you aren't going to lose 100 pounds in the next 30 days. It's okay to stretch. It's great to be a wild aspirational goal, a WAG, or a super wild aggressive aspirational goal, which is SWAG. You can do any of those, but it does have to be attainable. It has to be something that, yes, it will stretch you. Yes, you'll have to work. Yes, you'll have to concentrate your efforts. You may even have to make some sacrifices, but it's not totally impossible. Now, oftentimes, if you're discouraged today, almost anything that you attempt to do seems impossible. But make sure that it is attainable. The other thing is relevant. Some people think the R stands for realistic. No, that's attainable. R stands for relevant, meaning, so what if you accomplish it in 100 days? Is it really going to appreciably improve where you are? Will you be better? Will the world be better? Or is it just nonsensical? It has to have some value and meaning to you. So is it relevant to your personal life, your spiritual life, your family life, your work, making you a better individual? That's what relevant is. That's the letter R in the acrostic SMART. And then the T is time-bound. Well, we're kind of helping that with this 100-day challenge because the 100 days become the bookends and become the outline and become the time. What can I get accomplished in 100 days? Now, there are times in our life when the days when we're working and doing things seem exceedingly long. And then you look back and the years seem to fly by quickly. And so the 100 days is long enough to really make a difference, to really become a part of your life, but short enough that you could say, if you really are dedicated and you're really committed, all of us can do just about anything for 100 days. Now, Set that goal for that 100 days, what it is that you're wanting to achieve. And here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to reverse engineer and come up with a daily action plan. You're going to need to break it down. If you go with the 100 days, I would break it into 10 separate micro sprints. I've talked to you about sprint goals. That means for 10 days, this is what I'm going to do. Because again, 100 is a long period of time, and if we don't focus our attention, we will slack off and think we have plenty of time. So these are literally goals within your goal. These smaller goals or actions paired with daily, I'm commit to reaching the goal. And as you work on it pre the 100 days, get yourself ready before the 100 days begins. It will help you define action steps and stay on track, making that progress that you really need to do. Now, oftentimes people start with gusto. They really begin. They buy new equipment. They put the things in their calendar and on their list, and they're ready to go. But one place where people at times fall down is you have to reflect on what you're doing. You have to evaluate what you're doing. If you're going to do anything in life, make sure that you develop a bias toward action, toward results. Reflection is I'm going to look back. As I'm into my 10 days, I'm going to look back. Did I do the things that I committed to do? Is there some way that I need to calibrate or change or adjust this? And then continually, every day I look back to see, did I accomplish what I set out to do? Did I really do the things that I was committed to do? Now, oftentimes, one thing that will help you is to find an accountability partner. I know lots of people who go to the gym where I go, many have accountability partners. I never have. I've had a trainer who I work with a couple of times a week. And for whatever reason in that area, I have not felt the need for an accountability partner. But there are other areas in my life in which I have desperately needed an accountability partner as I explained what I am trying to do and asked them to help keep me on the straight and narrow and keep me going where I was going. And the accountability partners can help you with that. I would also say if you're going to do this 100-day goal, make sure that you, again, find goals that are relevant to you that will help you and stay focused on this 100 days. You must write out the top actions for the day and for the next 10 days that are going to move you toward that 100-day goal. I would also review it weekly. I know a week is only 7 days, but all along the way, evaluate. Yes, what happens with 100-day goals, in my opinion, is when you get to day 30 and day 60 and day 90, at times fatigue sets in. Times you lose focus. That's why you have to continually evaluate where you are and what you're doing. Now, let me give you a little bit of a handle on what might be some of the things you might consider for a 100-day goal. How much healthier could you be today if you committed to do some form of exercise for the next 100 days? Where, if you're a believer, where could your faith be in 100 days from now if you read the Bible a little bit for 100 days? What could you learn about work or a skill or an event if you just decided to study that particular topic for the next 100 days? How organized could your office or home or your personal space be if you decided to devote 30 minutes for 100 days to decluttering and getting organized? Again, how about your health with eating? You could do all sorts of things. Perhaps there are a couple of large projects at work that you're procrastinating. It may even cause you to feel somewhat fearful. But what would happen if you took those big project or a big project and for the next 100 days. Focused your entire energy on accomplishing that. I would just say to you, figure out a 100-day period, figure out a goal or two. Now, I know that I've said you ought not do more than one, but at times I have done more than one. If there was one big thing in my life, I would concentrate on one. But if there were certain things that I was wanting to do, I have at times added 2 or 3 to it, but not so much that I lose my focus and I make it a part of my morning and evening routine. I'd love to hear how it's working for you. Set a 100-day goal and prayerfully go for it. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this is like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, leave a rating and a brief written review. Remember, my leadership friend, you are doing better than you think you are. You really are. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying, have a great and blessed day.